Whoa, Colts Nation, stop the pressers. Breaking news, Jonathan Taylor has been traded by the deadline. The Colts have found a partner, and the partner is... ta-da! Absolutely nobody whatsoever. And I tried so hard to stay away from this topic for this exact reason. I was telling anybody willing to listen that there is no chance whatsoever that Jonathan Taylor was going to get traded by yesterday, which was Tuesday, the final day of the roster cuts by 4 p.m. And I'll tell you right now, I have never passed up a burger in my entire life. I am a lover of burgers, a hamburger, a cheeseburger, a turkey burger, a black bean burger, a brunch burger, smoked Gouda, and applewood bacon. You name it, I love that burger. Do you know the one burger that I don't like? A burger that I refuse to partake in? A nothing burger. And that is exactly what this story has been from the second the headline came out that he had requested a trade. It was obvious for a number of different reasons that it was never going to happen. 2 + 2 never equals 5, but apparently to some of you it does. So I'm going to give you an opportunity right now at a second chance at new life. Here's what you got to say. You got to say, Justin, you are a genius. Your brain is huge. You know everything about the Colts, and you have never been wrong about anything regarding the Indianapolis Colts in your entire life. Now, go ahead. I'll give you a second to say it. Come on. Obviously, to some degree, I'm joking. Yes, I'm a genius, and yes, I've never been wrong, but I understand that many of you have solid, very, very solid opinions as well, and I appreciate when you share them. But as far as the JT thing goes, this is why it was so obvious for me. Number one, and I'm not breaking news here. Everyone knows this, but I just want to rehash because we all knew these facts. We all thought he was going to get traded. And I say we all, meaning most everybody but me. One, he had no leverage whatsoever. If he were to have held out, barring the PUP list, which is kind of what I think is going on with the injury. I know a lot of you are saying he didn't pass the physical, all this stuff. That's good and well. I don't trust the Colts to be transparent with this type of thing. I don't trust JT in the middle of a negotiation to be transparent with this type of thing. I'll just come out and say it. I don't think Jonathan Taylor's injured. But barring the PUP list, right? Barring that situation, if he held out, there would have been $0 coming into his bank account. You and I, assuming you're not unemployed, would have been making more money than Jonathan Taylor during this stretch, okay? There was that. On top of that, no team in their right mind would have been willing to pay Jonathan Taylor with potential injury concerns looming. And again, I know I just said I don't believe it, but as far as an NFL team is concerned, they have to ask those questions. So he has the injury concern. He has a contract that he wants that seems to be well out of reason and well above market value. And then on top of that, they would have to give up the trade assets as well. So that was never going to happen, let alone the fact that Indy asked for a first-round pick, which they were never going to get, which should have told you everything you needed to know. They weren't going to trade him because straight up, they never had to trade Jonathan Taylor. Now, people can talk about this for hours on end. In fact, people will, and maybe I'll talk about it a little bit more another day. But as far as this episode, I can get this thing summed up for you in a couple of minutes. Now we have Jonathan Taylor on the physically unable to perform list, which means even if we were to find a trade partner, which we won't because we don't want to, because we're not going to trade Jonathan Taylor because we don't have to, he will not play for the first 4 weeks of the season. And it is simple to me. If the Colts have not offered, because we know next to nothing about the negotiation, despite the fact that everyone thinks they know something, we don't know anything. If the Colts have not offered to bump his pay this season, I know contractually he quote-unquote signed. I mean, he did sign, not quote-unquote. He signed, but what are you going to do, not sign? I mean, you're kind of trapped, right? I mean, let's not try to hold it against a guy who's a rookie trying to come in and play in the league. But if they have not offered Jonathan Taylor that Josh Jacobs 1-year deal or that Barkley 1-year deal and just bump his pay this season to help out their young quarterback and to remove the drama from this team, if they have not offered him that, what is that, $12 million or something like that, this season they should. They should be offering Jonathan Taylor that to come out and play this season and meet him somewhere in the middle. Now, if the Colts have offered that, Jonathan Taylor should accept it, and there's nothing else that we can do. And if he hasn't, well, I mean, what is there to say, right? I mean, the situation is literally that simple. It's that simple. Now, as far as the roster cuts that we just saw yesterday, that was not that simple. Despite how obvious and easy that was for me to explain and understand that Jonathan Taylor situation, there are things going on with these roster cuts that I cannot explain to you. I can only react. And after all, that is the business I'm in. I say all the time, I am not news. I guess I can be insightful, but I don't consider myself to be that guy. I'm more opinion, reactions, discussion. That's where I'm at, and that's exactly what I'm going to give you about these 53-man roster cuts. I think I said that right, but before I do it, I just have to introduce myself as I always do. My name is Justin. You are listening to the Riding the Bench Coltscast. If you are here for the first time, thank you so much for clicking the video. I appreciate you greatly. If you're here for the fourth, fifth, sixth time, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you again. And by the way, if you haven't subscribed yet, now would be the time. If nothing else, if you're enjoying the video, go ahead, shoot it a like. Helps me get out to as many Colts fans as humanly possible. That's a beautiful thing because I want more people to see the channel. But most importantly, just enjoy the show. And let's talk a little bit about some of these cuts that we have right here. So I don't have opinions on this right now because this is fresh. Mind you, I'm releasing this on a Wednesday morning. I recorded this last night. It was just like a little too late to upload it. I don't think anyone would have seen it if I uploaded it at the time I did. So that's, I understand the information is moving fast, and some of what I say right now may become irrelevant by the time you're watching this video. I believe the waiver period off the top of my head is 48 hours, 72 hours. A lot of these guys that got waived have the opportunity to be claimed by another team, and that includes guys on other teams that were waived coming to the Colts. So as far as this initial 53-man roster goes, that's exactly what it is an initial 53-man roster. And most notably, what we see is that we have 4 receivers, and that doesn't make any sense to me. You have to assume that the Colts have someone that was cut by another team that they're looking at, or they want to play the waiver wire, because for me, when you look at the guys that were cut, you look at Winfrey, who had a nice showing in the preseason. Amari Rodgers, I don't think was ever going to make it. Rashad Perriman, the same. Mike Strawn is a guy, my goodness, I'm literally going to have to shut off my alarm in the middle of this. I'll be right back. Oh, good Lord. Well, Mike Strawn is a guy that, if nothing else, during training camp, we saw had a role on this team. Now, was he uber successful in it? No. But they viewed him in a role, and quite frankly, he's one of the only guys we had that fulfilled that role, which was that outside, go up and get it type of receiver. Now, we have Alec Pierce there, and that's all good and well, but a lot of the times you like to have a backup to a role just in case that guy were to go down. You have someone that can be plugged in so you don't have to change the entire way you're running the offense, right? So I'm kind of surprised that Strawn didn't make his way onto the roster, although in favor of Winfrey, I suppose on some level I understood it, but now we have found out that Winfrey's not on the roster either. Let's see what the Colts do about that, because they're not going to keep 4 wide receivers. I know a lot of people are saying, well, they kept 5 tight ends. Mallory is going to play receiver. I don't know about that. Speak of tight ends, I'm incredibly shocked that Mo Alley-Cox is still on the roster. I don't think that he's any worse than any of the guys that we have. I just don't think he's any better, and he's the ones getting paid while those guys are playing for Lay's classic potato chips, right? So Mo Alley-Cox, I thought, was fighting against a contract, and I thought he was going to lose that fight. I thought he was going to get TKO'd. It turns out that Mo Alley-Cox made it through and won by a split decision, and now he's on our roster. Great. Darius Rush. That is something, is it not? I mean, you look at the secondary group, and I understand you were never going to cut Juju Brents, but when you look at the rookie corners that we drafted, Darius Rush was not the worst performing one so far. Juju Brents was. And that's not to say, again, that we were going to cut Juju Brents, but it goes to a greater point. We kept so many defensive linemen. I'm going to pull them up right now. Give me a moment to filibuster it. Filibuster. But you look at a young corner room like we have right now, and you think to yourself, with all that uncertainty, don't you think you'd keep as many corners as humanly possible, particularly one in Darius Rush, who, despite the fact it was off of a tip, had a pick 6 in the preseason, and by all counts was looking pretty good to a lot of people. We were very, very excited about him. So you look at the defensive line, I mean, not for anything. McTelvin Agem, I butchered his name, and I mean no disrespect to the guy. Who is that? I cover the team. Who is that? So he got a roster spot. Eric Johnson II, fine, but you couldn't have lost one of those two guys and kept Darius Rush on this team? You couldn't have gotten that done? For me, something seems a little off there, and I'm just trying to figure out exactly what happened, because right now we have, listen, everyone we're supposed to have, Kenny Moore, Baker Jr., Dallas Flowers, Julius Brents, Jalen Jones, Tony Brown. We have 6 of them. To be honest, I'm a little surprised we didn't keep Darius Rush as number 7, particularly because we still don't, unless they do, and we're just not privy to it yet, we don't exactly know who's stepping up in that room. We know Darrell Baker Jr. and Dallas Flowers look to be the first guys up to get a crack at that opportunity, at least on the outside. But other than that, there's really not much certainty here. Juju Brents, we'll see how he comes along. Jalen Jones, we like. Tony Brown hasn't done anything to make us dislike him, but he certainly has done anything to make us love him. But not for anything. Sometimes when you're playing corner, if no one knows where you're at and what you're doing on the field, you might be doing a halfway decent job. So I'll give Tony Brown the benefit of the doubt on that front. But I'm surprised that Rush is not on this roster. I doubt he clears waivers, and I doubt that someone really does not bring him on. I don't think Darius Rush will be on our practice squad simply because I don't think the opportunity will be there. I think he's going to get claimed, and I'm not sure if that's ever going to be the type of move that the Colts regret forever. But right now, as it currently stands, it is a move that I have a tough time, accepting. That's just me. So I look at that. I'm trying to think, is there anything else from these roster moves that was surprising to me? We only have 4 safeties on the roster. They are the guys that I figured we'd have in Blackman, Rodney Thomas, Nick Cross, and Trevor Dembo. I'm surprised we didn't keep, Tariq Black or Henry Black? One of the two. I'm surprised we didn't keep him as a 5th safety, but that is what it is. So that's kind of what I'm looking at on my initial reaction to this. But on a greater level, what it tells me is that the Colts are probably going to be active on the waiver wire. When you look at the fact that we don't have a 5th wide receiver, when you look at the fact that we only kept 3 running backs, despite the fact that Jonathan Taylor will not be playing for the first 4 games of the season, and one of the running backs we kept has a broken arm and couldn't go out there if he wanted to. All of those things are true. You got to figure that there's someone that we are looking at that position, but that's just me. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe they're very confident that their guys are going to get to the practice squad, and then they'll just be able to call someone up when the time comes. I don't know, but we're going to have to see that one out. But as far as the reaction goes, that's really what I wanted this video to be. I'm going to give it a couple days before I actually make predictions and really give some, I don't know the word, but I just wanted to react right now. The information's moving quick, and I don't want to be outdated in a moment's time. So I just wanted to give you a reaction. And a happy Wednesday to you. Hump Day. Thank you so much for making it to the end of the episode. If you have not liked and subscribed yet, now is the moment. You've been here this long, right? But with that, my name is Justin. This right here was an emergency episode of the Riding the Bench Colts cast. Until next time, go Colts.